Football is back, baby! Now that we're finally in the month of August, we're gearing up for redraft leagues having their draft soon. Tonight, we'll be running a 12-team, one-quarterback PPR redraft mock, helping you figure out where players are getting drafted in this format. Coming to you live on Optimus Fantasy, this is Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan. Ladies, gentlemen, and all those in between or outside of it, welcome to Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan, right here on Optimus Fantasy, coming to you every Monday evening until week 1 of the NFL season. I am your host, Evan Sather. Tonight, I have a multi-talented guest who's been in a lot of places in the fantasy football space. He is a writer for the Footballguys and Oddschecker. He's also a host of Level Up on the 32-bit YouTube channel. He is also a co-host of Fantasy Football Q&A with Greg and Tipp on the Sports Affiliation YouTube channel. Please welcome to the show, Tipp Major. Tipp, how are you tonight, man?
Evan, yo, what is up, man? Hell of an intro. I love it, brother. Multi-talented? Okay, all right. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I love what you guys do at Optimus. I've met Nate last year. I met Eric Romanoff. Hope to get to meet you soon. I know you're not going to be at the expo, but I hope to meet you very soon. I did see you at the Scott Fish Bowl in Chicago. You got to meet Joe Bryant and some of the guys there, probably Joey Wright as well. But, man, I'm excited, dude. I'm excited to mock draft and bust some heads open. Let's go, Evan.
Joey Wright was definitely a surprise. He didn't even know he was coming to the Chicago live draft until like the Thursday beforehand. And I just happened to see him as I was entering the banquet hall of Maggiano's. And I saw the familiar face as he was just giving me the toodaloo wave. And I'm like, that is Joey. No way.
Man, Joey is hilarious. I'll tell you a real quick story before we start up, man. Last year, I was at the the Saturday night party. I met Joey. I've seen him online. Obviously, I knew who he was, but Joey came up and just gave me the biggest hug. And I'm not a little guy. I'm not a big guy. I'm like medium. I wear large as far as shirts go. But I got a little weight to me. And he came and gave me this just bone crushing hug, and I was like, Joey, and it was so much fun, man. It was awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lot bigger than I used to be, but yeah, Joey's definitely, I'm probably about 5'9" and $170-ish. I'm training for a Brazilian jiu-jitsu competition next weekend, so I'll be trying to fight guys around my weight. Where Joey's definitely bigger and stronger than me, which would be to my disadvantage in a tournament like that. But I mean, Joey definitely has a good handshake, and it was so great to see him and finally get to meet Joe too. So, like I was telling you before the show, money's a little tight this year for me, so I'm not going to be able to make it to the expo. But speaking of the Fantasy Football Expo, be on the look. If you guys are going this coming weekend, Nate, Jen, Keith, and I feel like I'm forgetting one more. Gosh, I feel terrible, but there's gonna be 4 of us Optimus members at the expo. I'll make sure to say it again at the end of the show for those of you who are going. But so in the meantime, we're in prime redraft season. So I see that you've been putting out you're starting to ramp up your articles as well. Just as a bit of a sneak preview, on the Footballguys, you made a case for Dak Prescott that could possibly be a top 3 quarterback. So, as that's coming out just in time for the redraft leagues, I'll just ask you real quick as just a sneak peek for your article, whatever you want to tell the people. So, should people be drafting Dak Prescott as a top 10 quarterback in this format?
Look, I think this is the perfect format for Dak Prescott. Yeah, you would have to get a backup because of the injury concerns. But Evan, look at what they're building around him. Okay, I'm not talking about the offensive line. I'm not talking about the running backs. I'm talking about these pass catchers. You got George Pickens. You got CeeDee Lamb. You already know what CeeDee Lamb's going to do. He's in the last 5 seasons, he only trails Michael Thomas as far as receptions goes in his first 5 seasons of his career. So he's the only person. He has 496 receptions, and he only trails. That tells you in of itself that there's chemistry there. Michael Thomas and Drew Brees had chemistry. Dak Prescott and him got chemistry. And then you come in and you add a guy in George Pickens, who has one time already led the league in yards per catch at 18.3. Now you get to partner him up with the best quarterback he's probably played with in some time. And look, I have a feeling that this is going to be a dynamic duo. And I didn't even talk about Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson is a guy that look at what he did in 2023 with Dak Prescott and he were both healthy. He looked to him towards the red zone. All of Jake Ferguson's touchdowns were in the red zone. As a matter of fact, 3 of them were inside the 5. Like, this is type of stuff that we've got to start looking at when they're going to be scoring points in Dallas, because their defense is suspect. And let's just say it like it is. It stinks. It's a bad defense. Now they're dealing with the Micah Parsons situation. That saga, that's going to draw out. You may have some players rolling their eyes. You know they already feel about his podcasting and things like that. They want him to focus on the field. So now you got a defense who's already been in shambles. What are they going to do now? Are they going to take a step forward? They're going to take a step back. And then you got this running back room, Evan. This running back room, none of them are running backs that are going to run the ball. And behind that offensive line is suspect. So Dak Prescott's going to be throwing to all of these guys because they all are pass-catching running backs too. Take a look at all 3 of them. They have had pass-catching prowess in their careers. So it's going to be one of those situations where Dak Prescott's going to be throwing the ball a lot. I think he can touch 700. I put a quote out there or a tweet out there a few days ago. Bold prediction, 750, which would break the record. I think that is something that is possible for Dak Prescott should he stay healthy.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic case for everybody. And I'm glad you brought up Jake Ferguson, too, because I wanted to do the same. They just paid the guy. They really like Jake Ferguson way more than Dalton Schultz.
100%.
Yeah, and now that they don't have Ezekiel Elliott anymore, I mean, that's a great point you made about that, too. So we'll have to see if anybody in our mock draft takes Jake Ferguson a lot higher than people are planning on doing this year, too.
Yeah, I'm giving too many nuggets out, Evan. See that? Now, this is why we can't do this. We can't go out giving out nuggets on right when we're about to do a draft, because now these people are going to start using it against me. I mean, shout out to all the great people, first of all, who's drafting with this. I mean, we've got Pro Football Focus's Nate Janik. He's on here with us. We got my guy Spiders, a.k.a. Eric. He's on here. You got my guy Mantis Toboggan. He's on there too. And we got another great people. We got Andrea in here. So we got a lot of great people in this draft, Evan, and I'm excited. I can't wait.
Funny story about Nate Jonke. He took the last spot in this mock draft tonight. He was in the middle of his Ask Me Anything in the PFF server, and I just dropped the question to him. I'm like, hey, I'm running a mock draft. You want to join? And to my surprise, he said yes. So I was like, here you go, man. I dropped him the link in his DMs just to make sure no one sniped him, and here we are.
Yeah, I think he's number 9. So this is going to be curious to see what Nathan does.
So just to give everybody a sneak preview of what we're dealing with tonight, this is about as vanilla as you can get for a 12-team, 1-quarterback PPR mock. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex, a defense/special teams, and a kicker. Yeah, I mean, we know that at least in our space, there's a lot of people who do not like kickers and defenses, but we got to think about folks in the home leagues that are comfortably having these positions, and they should still matter too. But me personally, Tipp, I like kickers and defense/special teams. It's like a homey feeling for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, kickers need love too, guys. I mean, look, we've seen in the last couple of years, kickers average 20 points a game. Like some of these kickers, you look at like Jack Bates. You look at kickers like Brandon Aubrey when he was with the Cow. Like these guys are gonna get you some points. That's what they're gonna do. Yeah, there's no more Justin Tucker right now. We got the legal situation he's going through, but he was one of those guys who would consistently get you fantasy points. So hey, kickers need love too. Just my preferences, I go for a lot of the indoor kickers, the indoor dome kickers, and guys who are on potent offenses. If I'm going to go with an outside kicker, like somebody like Evan McPherson or Tyler Bass, that's kind of what my MO is for kickers. But I think you still got to play with them. And defenses, it's always fun to get a defensive fumble sack or maybe a return touchdown. It's always fun, right? So let's keep it going. Let's keep it fresh. IDP leagues are awesome too, but if you don't have the time to really focus on individual players on the defensive side, why not let them team up and when you get you some points.
Everybody hates losing because of those excellent points that come from kickers and defenses, which can be just so hard to predict and yet makes the game so much fun.
This is a guy who lost in that same situation because of a kicker in the championship round right before the Super Bowl. So
Ooh.
I know the feeling. It hurts. It sucks. But if it would have gone the other way, it would have been glorious. It would have been great, and I've had it go both ways. So yeah, it's just something I think we should keep it, man. Keep the kickers.
That is the game we love and play so much. And so speaking of which, Tip, we're about 10 minutes in. I think we should get this going. Are you ready, my man?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to click start here, and off we go. We've got Dan the man over here picking from the 101. We've got 60-second timers tonight. He didn't need 60 seconds. He knew to go get Bijan. No, go ahead, Tip.
This is it. This is the. I was going to send a tweet out tonight. I'm still going to send a tweet out. And Bijan Robinson, guys, look, I know that this was kind of the funny thing behind it. There were 7 quarterbacks, if you include Taysom Hill as a quarterback, 7 quarterbacks that had a longer rushing yards, or excuse me, a longer run than Bijan Robinson. He only had a 37-yard run. That was his longest of last year. What is Bijan Robinson working on this season, off season? He's working on explosiveness. He's working on getting those longer runs. So let's see what happens. And then you got a guy like Gus Edwards last year who ran a 43-yard, again, more than what Bijan was able to give out there. And so that's, I think, the only thing with Bijan Robinson. People are the long speed. I think the player, the catching, the blocking that he does for the team, he's always on the field. He can be lined up in any position. He can the contact balance, all of that is there for Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson is the #1 de facto pick. You can argue Jamar Chase, but I think it's Bijan Robinson just because of the pure touches that he's going to get this year. He's #1 across the board for me.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point, too, with his longest run, with just the way the Falcons were using him a little strangely. But, I mean, he hasn't had a stable offense ever. He got drafted in the middle of an Arthur Smith cluster F of an offense. Nate's kid listens, so I try to watch my language here. So Bijan is definitely getting a lot of hype at #1, and you brought up an excellent point, too. He's working on his explosiveness. Meanwhile, Gus Edwards had a longer run than Bijan last year. He isn't even on a roster right now, which it kind of blows my mind that he's not a depth option anywhere yet, but I don't know his physical health either. And yet his backfield mate, J.K. Dobbins, got himself a backup. Well, we don't even know if he's going to be the backup running back on the Broncos yet. But getting back to Bijan, though, Tip, so it seems to be between him and Saquon. Do you see any reason to be putting Barkley behind Bijan or even ahead of him?
Yeah, so there was recent comments that came out by the OC in Philadelphia saying that they are going to be looking at his workload, and what does that mean? And it looks like it's my turn, so I'm going to go ahead and go, Evan, if you don't mind. And
yes, sir.
I'm going to go ahead, since it's a redraft league, guys, how can you not go with Derrick Henry here at the 12th spot? I'm going to go ahead and go with Derrick Henry. Now, I was going to go Christian McCaffrey, but I'm going to talk a little bit about why I'm not going to do Christian McCaffrey here, although it is a really good value right here. The only reason I'm not going to go Christian McCaffrey here really quickly is because there's only 15 rounds. If there was 20 rounds, I would go with Christian McCaffrey, and then that'll allow me to get one of those handcuffs. So that's, for me, there's not enough rounds for me to fill up 2 other handcuffs or 1 other handcuffs with Christian McCaffrey. So I'm not going to waste a draft pick on getting Christian McCaffrey. But what I am going to do, and Puka Nacua, I like Puka Nacua, but I am a little nervous about the back that Matthew Stafford has. So I'm going to go with Drake London here, guys. If I could start this league with Derrick Henry and a #1 wide receiver who I think has the potential to be he was a top 3 last year. I think he has a potential to be top 3 again, maybe even the #1 running wide receiver in fantasy. I think it's Drake London, guys. They have the connection, him and Michael Penix. We saw what they did the last game of the season last year. Yeah, I know Michael Penix there's been some rumblings about him with his accuracy. I'm not going to worry about that right now because that was one of his strengths and his focal points. I think he's just going with this offense. I can't wait to see this offense in preseason, though, I'll tell you that.
I don't know if you saw this on social media today, primarily Twitter. Drake London ran over Raheem Morris in practice today. I think they were just screwing around, but it looks funny to see.
I did not see that. I can't wait, because every night what I do is I take a look at all the information, all the training camp information, all the videos, what stood out, what didn't stand out. But I can't wait to see that one, man. That's crazy. Drake London's a big dude, bro. He's a dude.
It's funny because he doesn't look that big when you look at him just standing up, but people forget he's strong. He's got the strength to be a great wide receiver, especially getting separation, and he's got his own explosiveness as well. And now that he's got a real, we hope a real offense to support him, Penix is definitely, you're right, Penix is definitely building up some great chemistry with Drake London. So I'm going to grab my first running back off the board in Bucky Irving.
Okay.
So I started off with Justin Jefferson at the 104 and then followed it up with Bucky Irving at the 209. So maybe you can talk me off of this ledge, Tip. I am not that big on Bucky Irving being considered an RB1 this season because he's still kind of sharing the backfield with Rachaad White, which, I mean, I'm not that big on Rachaad White, but he's still going to get some change of pace stuff. Sean Tucker, I'm not as worried about because he barely gets 10% of the snaps when both of those guys are healthy. But should I be trusting Bucky as a running back one?
As a running back one, Evan, I'm going to say no. I had this same scenario in a draft that I did last week where I got Derrick Henry and then I got Bucky Irving because I wanted to go heavier on running back in this one. So I got Derrick Henry and I got Bucky Irving. I'm okay with that. But as Bucky Irving as my number one, there's just too many ifs. You know, this offense, Tristan Wirfs, he's going to be out maybe a couple of weeks, maybe 4 weeks into the season. Now you also have to deal with Rachaad White, like you said. Rachaad White is a problem, guys. Like, he is a problem with Bucky Irving because when they get down there low, Baker Mayfield trusts Rachaad White in his hands to get the ball, to make those plotting runs that he does. It's never flashy like Bucky Irving is. Bucky Irving is a great running back, but I just feel like as my number one, I'd rather have him as my number two 100% all the time.
Oh, 100%. I would love having Bucky Irving as a high upside, I say in air quotes, RB2 with RB1 upside.
Evan, I have a question. Why not Jonathan Taylor there? Because I think Jonathan Taylor is in that same grouping where you can have as a number one guy. I think Jonathan Taylor can actually lead the league in touches this year. If all goes right, this team is going to run the ball, and they're going to run the ball and utilize the run through Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I understand they got DJ Giddings there. I get that. They're going to give him some touches too. But Jonathan Taylor is in line, guys, for at least, I would say 320 plus touches, 350. I'm going to say that. Like, he is on, he can really, if he stays healthy, guys, he can really be one of those guys that you got him. He got him in the second round. Almost the third round. I would have thought about getting him there at that turn for me, but I want to get that wide receiver. I always want that number one wide receiver. So, but I think Jonathan Taylor is worthy of a back end first round pick, second first part of the second round as well. I think he's good. You can get him there too.
Absolutely, and I actually agree with you, Tip. If this were a real draft for a real league, I would absolutely be taking Jonathan Taylor all day over Bucky Irving. But yeah. I specifically asked you my Bucky Irving question, and I took him because I wanted to see how you felt about him and if you needed to talk me off a ledge in case I happen to be wrong about the hype he's getting right now. Because I'm with you, I don't fully buy it as that he's a real RB1. I'll happily take Taylor all day.
Yeah, it's just it's and you did follow it up with Kyron Williams. And Kyron Williams we've seen it. We've seen the good, we've seen the bad. Mostly the bad is only because of injury. It's not because of the production on the field, because he's going to produce. You got Jaquez Hunter over there. You've got Blake Corum as well, who I think Jaquez Hunter might leapfrog Blake Corum here as the preseason or training camp and preseason goes. I think that from what I've been hearing, they're really happy about him. Let's see here.
I'll let you make your next pick here.
Let's see here. Let's go. Mine is still okay. There it goes. All right. I'm gonna go James Cook here. I'm not really too concerned about him holding. I think that the hold in and all of that stuff. I think that they're gonna end up paying him. I do understand that they have other running backs on this team that are really good. And I also understand the touchdown regression. But from going from 18 touchdowns last year to maybe 10 or 11, I'm still happy with that because I got Derrick Henry who can pop off for 15 touchdowns easily. So I'm happy with that. And I'm going to go Garrett Wilson as my next pick. So I'm going running back receiver in this format because I think that in this format, you can wait at quarterback. You don't have to look, guys, we're waiting at quarterback on my end. You can wait at tight end as well. This is not a tight end premium. I see Brock Bowers and I see Trey McBride, and I'll talk a little bit about Trey McBride later. But I think that you need to build on those positional players that are running back and wide receiver in this type of format. And that's what I want to start to do. Mix it with some good young and good old, but the old's got to be the guys like Derrick Henry who is going to get you some yardage and get you some touchdowns.
I love your Garrett Wilson pick in the 4th round here to kick us off at the 401. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping too much on Garrett Wilson because of the bad reputation the New York Jets have on offense, and especially with how Aaron Rodgers insisted on having Devontae Adams on the team, which took some targets away from Garrett Wilson. But what people need to know is that Garrett Wilson quietly had a wide receiver 10 season last year. He has proven he is a top 10 wide receiver with the right offense. So I have to now ask you, what's to stop Garrett Wilson from repeating that with Justin Fields throwing to him?
I think the only thing that can really, really stop it is two things. The Jets last year, they only ran the ball 21 times a game. That's going to change. They're going to be one of the run heaviest teams in the league, guys. Like, they've got these 2 premium running backs. They got a guy in Breece Hall, we've seen what he can do, and they got a guy in Braylon Allen who they call the War Machine. That in of itself just tells me he's getting on the field. So you're gonna have those 2 running backs, and then not only that, you're gonna have Justin Fields, who's one of the top rushing quarterbacks out there. So this team's gonna flip the switch and run the ball quite a bit. Now, Garrett Wilson is the alpha when it comes to pass catching. Yeah, you got Mason Taylor. Yeah, you've got Corey. You got some other guys there. You got other guys there. I get it, but he is the alpha. So he's going to get the brunt of the touches or the targets. So I think he's easily a guy who can get 140 plus targets. He's done it before. Why not do it again? Justin Fields, they have a connection back from college. I think that as long as Justin Fields and his toe is healthy and he's on the field, Garrett Wilson's gonna thrive. And even if Justin Field isn't on the field and it ends up being the secondary, I believe Tyrod Taylor was signed in the offseason.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor knows what to do to get to the number 1 guy. He's gonna throw it there to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson had Zach Wilson throwing him the ball. So it's one of those scenarios where I'm not worried about him. I'm not quite saying he's quarterback proof, but he is one of those guys who it doesn't really matter who's throwing to him out there because he's gonna get targets.
Yeah, I love everything that you said about that, too. Even if it has to be Tyrod Taylor, he's going to go to his first read. There's no reason not to believe otherwise. And Justin Fields, he got lucky with that dislocated toe that just got popped back into place. And, even if you've so much sprained your toe like I have before on both of my feet, it lingers for so long, especially when you're a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy like me. You need your toes to be able to lunge forward to go for either a double leg takedown
you gotta
or
use
something
your toes
like that.
To grapple on the mats there, bro. Yeah, I hear you.
Hopefully not to that point. So Justin Fields, I see no reason why he's not going to build any chemistry whatsoever with a guy like Garrett Wilson. Like you just said, they played at Ohio State together. So sure. It's going to be a rekindling old chemistry. So speaking of old chemistry, so DJ Moore used to have Justin Fields as his quarterback, and the two loved each other as far as chemistry goes. And now we're seeing Caleb Williams having some concern at camp with struggling against this new defense that Dennis Allen is really throwing at our offense in training camp, where our defense is shredding our offense so far in training camp, which A, gives me hope for Dennis Allen, and B, well, I'm not putting too much on it because it's a brand new offensive system that all the guys are getting. But as far as DJ Moore goes, the Bears also now have Rome Odunze, and they just spent a 2nd-round pick on Luther Burden. Do you still love DJ Moore as a second wide receiver in the 4th round?
I don't. I'm not willing to take that price there. There's other players that, for instance, let's look at it. I like Devontae Adams. I know the whole situation with Matthew Stafford's back. I get that. Cortland Sutton just got paid. I would prefer Cortland Sutton over DK Metcalf. Although he's been hitting people, knocking them out. Tipp McMillan. All these guys are going off after DJ Moore. I would take those guys above DJ Moore at this point, because you already hear that it's not all sunshines and rainbows there in Chicago. The other thing too, it's a Ben Johnson. This is a complicated offense, guys. Like, this is not an offense. All offenses are complicated. Let's just get that straight. Any NFL offense is going to be but this is a very intricate, very, very detailed offense. So if it's going to take him some time, I think Caleb Williams is going to be fine in this offense. I think this offense will be really good, but it's going to take time. And I'm not willing to take time when it comes to my fantasy team. I want my team running and gunning from the get-go. And that's where I like Roma Dunze. I was really high on him at the beginning of the season. I kind of slowed down a little bit because I started seeing the fact that it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for all of these pass catchers. And they got a lot of pass catchers. So now you're dealing with that, and you got a lot of mouths to feed. So I'm pumping the brakes on DJ Moore. I still like Roma Dunze out of the bunch. Luther Burden if it's a dynasty, but this isn't dynasty. This is redraft. And my pick is coming up, and I can't wait to see who is that. Who is it? Is that Spider?
Yeah, he just took Travis Hunter.
He took Travis Hunter. Well, that was a bad pick. I don't know why he got him. No, I'm just kidding. Spider's my guy. Spider's a good dude. I'm still not going quarterback here, Evan, although Joe Burrow is pretty tempting here. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm going to do it. Joe Burrow is like, this part right now, I know we talked about Dak Prescott, but Joe Burrow is that dude that, you just pencil him in for, 35 plus touchdowns, 4,000 yards, pencil him in for that. He'll even rush a little bit. We saw him have a 40-yard. He was one of those quarterbacks who actually had a longer run than Bijan Robinson last year. So he'll run the ball a little bit too. So I'm gonna go a little unconventional and go Joe Burrow just because I believe in that offense and I believe in him. This one's a little bit trickier. But I do like TJ Hawkinson a lot. I think he's going to get a lot of pass catches. I have been hearing, been talking about McCarthy and his struggles in training camp as well. But what I will say, what's a quarterback's best friend?
The tight end.
So I'm going to go with TJ Hawkinson here. I think he's going to be a tight end to target. I did want to talk about Trey McBride. I'm off the bandwagon on Trey McBride a little bit, guys. The reason I am, it's not because the talent is there. The talent is phenomenal. The chemistry with him and Kyler Murray is good as well. But when they get to the red zone, they just forget about him. And how are you going to forget about somebody who's 6'5", 250 pounds? Like, my thing is, what's going on with that, right? And, last year he had a situation where he had opportunities in the red zone. They just didn't give it. The team was there in the red zone. They just don't give it to him. He's averaged 6 touchdowns in 3 years. That's 2 touchdowns a year receiving. He did get a rushing touchdown last year. I just want my tight end. If I'm gonna pay up for my tight end in the 3rd round, I want that guy to score points. I want that guy to score touchdowns. And I'm looking back at some of these other players. Kenneth Walker, he scores touchdowns. I know they got Zach Charbonnet. Tyreek Hill, look at this. Tyreek Hill, guys. T. Higgins are going after him. If you go and look at Footballguys on our, you got players like Brian Thomas Jr. going behind him. You've got Brian Thomas is starting to jump up a little bit more, but you've got players like Cortland Sutton going after. I trust these guys to get in the end zone more than I trust Trey McBride right now.
That's a big statement to make, considering all the hype that he's got right now.
I know and Evan, he's getting a bunch of hype, and he's gonna be he's gonna be a target hound. He's gonna be a beast receptor in the receiving side. Now, if it's a tight end premium, I'm gonna shut my mouth and let him take But if it's a regular draft where no tight end premiums, I'm moving Trey McBride down a little bit for me.
So I'll get back to Trey McBride in a second. I wanted to ask you about TJ Hawkinson, who you took at the 601. I think it was a couple of days ago, he had to be sidelined at practice because of a groin injury. I have not read about the severity of this, but groin injuries tend to linger the way that Achilles tendonitis does. But I mean, they're not the same injury, but they lingered like they do. Are you at all concerned about this?
Yeah, any soft tissue injury, Evan, I'm gonna be concerned. I was concerned last year when Christian McCaffrey pulled up with the calf muscle. That's a soft tissue injury. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not in that field, but I do have friends and friends that are, and they tell me, man, anytime it's a soft tissue injury, it's susceptible to flare up at any moment. They could be sitting at home, chilling, watching, sitting on the couch. They could get up wrong. If they get up wrong, they could be. I had a family member. I kid you not. She was walking up some ladder, like a step ladder, and she tore her Achilles. Like, I'm not comparing her to a athlete, but I mean, these are simple things that you do at home that if these guys are already dealing with certain soft tissue injuries, it could flare up. It could. So I am concerned. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not concerned about it. You have to be concerned about any soft tissue injury.
So yeah, gosh, it's always those injuries where it's the most non-athletic things that get you the most hurt. I've learned this too in my years of being a amateur athlete, where I was a cross country and track guy in my youth, and now I'm a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. It's always the dumbest stuff that gets you the most hurt. It's never the actual activity that does.
Well, we always hear about these starting pitchers that are walking down the stairs and they trip and fall, and they're on the IL for 45 days. It's like, what? Like, what's going on?
Oh my gosh. That also reminded me of an unrelated story with Kobe Bryant, rest his soul. He threw out his back once trying to help around the house and vacuum. It's always dumb stuff like that.
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Getting back to Trey McBride, too, I have been reading a lot of scuffling in the fantasy football community, whether it's Brock Bowers or Trey McBride that's potentially going to be the tight end one. I still think it's going to be Brock Bowers because he's shown what an amazing talent he is with 3 different quarterbacks and a complete mess of a system with what's-his-face, who got fired in place of Pete Carroll, and Antonio
Pierce.
Antonio Pierce, yes. Now that the change in leadership has happened, especially with Geno Smith as Brock Bowers' quarterback now, does Brock Bowers still live up to the hype, or does Trey McBride still push him for that?
Yeah, look, Evan, I am a Raiders fan through and through. Absolutely, Brock Bowers hold. I have been watching certain film and tape on what I can get my hands on in this training camp. I've seen Brock Bowers run all over the field. I've seen him lined up in every position on the field that he can line up in. I've seen him line up as H-back. I've seen him lined up as a joker. I've seen him lined up in slot, out wide, in line. I've seen this guy everywhere. And another person I've seen too, I just saw just yesterday, I tweeted this out, check it on my timeline. Ashton Genty is also lined up in the slot too. So what Chip Kelly's going to do is he's going to create space with these 2 hard-nosed, hardcore, fast runners, and he's going to create space for them. So I think Brock Bowers has the opportunity to just obliterate all the tight ends this year, be the number 1 tight end, and I think that Brock Bowers is the de facto number 1 guy in certain leagues. Look, if you are in a tight end premium, I'm in a tight end premium league in a few leagues. I took Brock Bowers number 1 in my first round. Not the number 1 pick, but my first round. I took Brock because I believe in him so much. I think that it's just going to be an extension of what he did last year, but we're just going to see so much more efficiency, possibly more touchdowns as well. I think I'm projecting somewhere around 6 to 8 touchdowns for him this year. I think last year he got right to 5, so he beat his 4.5. That was his threshold. But I think this year we could see a little bit more of Brock Bowers. And Geno Smith's going to throw the ball. That's what he does. He likes to throw the ball down the field too. So I'm really excited about this offense, if you can't tell.
Yeah, so as a Raiders fan, maybe you can help bring some clarity to this, because I have been reading a lot of people saying that Ashton Genty is going to be taking away all this work from Brock Bowers, and that's why he's not going to repeat the season he had last year. But I think these people are nuts. I'm just like, guys, Genty's going to be helping Brock Bowers. And with Spiders taking Genty as his RB1, as the 5th running back off the board, is that where he belongs as far as how he's going to get used in this offense?
No, he belongs in that same. Now, I will say it like this. A-Chain, Ashton Genty belongs in front of A-Chain. I think it's right how it is. Bijan, you can make the conversation for Gibbs. I like Gibbs a little bit more than Barkley just because of the age factor. But I think Genty belongs as a number 4, number 5 running back. I think he can slide into that number 3 spot as well, especially now that I'm seeing where they're lining him up. Yes, could he take some away from Brock Bowers? I don't think that. I think they complement each other very well, Evan. I think that this offense is gonna use those two guys in this offense so well, and then people are gonna forget about Jacoby Myers. People are also gonna forget about Tucker, and then it's just gonna be one of those situations where those guys get sprinkled in. Jacoby Myers will get some too; he'll get some love, but I think this is an Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty offense.
Danny Moran in the comments here says that Achane is greater than Genty. I think he has some fighting words for you there.
I mean, I would like to know how. I mean, yes, I think you have to go based off the sheer volume just in itself, and it is my pick. So let me pick my player, and I will finish my thought here. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's go with. I've really been liking this Matthew Golden kid. I'm gonna go ahead and go with him as my third wide receiver. I think that's formidable. It is giving a lot of but I think that this offense. I think that he's gonna carve away in this offense. I think that he will be the main guy in this offense as well, as long as he stays healthy. So I really like the Matthew Golden kid. I saw a picture of him. He was not too far from where I live. He took one of my nephews, and dude is yoked, man. I was really tripped out like how big he is. I was like, wow. And then let's see. I'm gonna go Travis Etienne as my third running back here. Hearing a lot about him in training camp as well. I don't know who to trust in this offense from a running back standpoint, but I'm gonna trust the guy who's been there right now. There is allegiance to Tootin. I get that. Tank Bigsby, we've been hearing some rumblings about him and how he's been doing in training camp, but I still think that Travis Etienne can carve a role. He has that connection with Trevor Lawrence as well. I think he still carves a role, and him is my number 3. Yeah, number 2 and number 3, they're a little shaky, but if they do end up playing like James Cook does and Travis Etienne can carve out a role and be a pass-catching running back, I think that's a good shot as well. But back to the Ashton Genty and Devon Achane. You got to go based off of the sheer volume here. That's why I think that Ashton Genty is a little bit more than what Devon Achane is. Now, I will say this: who's on a better offense, right? Well, Miami has been known to be on a better offense, but they also last year took a step back. So what are they going to be doing this year? I'd rather go with a guy whose offense that was in shambles last year in my Raiders, but they have some opportunity. They have some upside that you could say, and with the volume as well, I think that you can go on there. Now, Devon Achane is a more efficient player, and the efficiency is the thing that I'm talking about with him. Now, that comes in play with best ball. Best ball comes in play with the efficiency for me. That's where I like Devon Achane, because you're going to have those blow-up weeks. You never know when they're going to be, but you don't want to have those weeks when you're putting him, or like you're not going to bench Genty or Achane, but if he has a few weeks that he just not popping off, you're gonna start thinking about that, especially if you're in a desperate situation. So that's where for me it's just sheer volume for Genty, and it's also sheer. It might be a better offense, but we'll see.
Indeed, we'll see. For those of you listening to the audio version of this show, Danny Moran actually did follow up with Achane over Genty by saying volume will be similar, but the chemistry and the Dolphins' offense is giving 2023 vibes, which I honestly wish they didn't have this version of Achane in 2023. I'm not so sure that I agree with that either, Tip, but I do respect Danny's opinion there. I mean, you got to get your guy.
I got to see the vibes. I got to see the vibes that he's talking about, because, I mean, the vibes that you got Tua talking about Hill mouthing off, like Hill talking about Achane, and he's not a guy, he's not a power back, and all like it just seems like there's no how should I say, there's no true leader in that on that team. Like, it seems to me like Mike McDaniel, who's a coach's coach, like a player's coach, he likes to run up and down the field, do all that cute stuff, but does the team really respect him? That's my question. Does the team really respect him? Because if they did, I don't think that they would be talking as much as they've been. And maybe they want to keep themselves in the limelight. Maybe they want to keep themselves in that spotlight, so that way teams are or players or people are still talking about him. I get it, but I don't know if after I had the season I had last year, I would try to be like what the Raiders are doing and keep our mouth shut and just put our nose to the ground and try to fight, man. That's what I'm looking at. And I love Devon A-Chain. I think that, but I just love Ashton Genty, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs maybe, but not so much. I think that Devon A-Chain does belong in that Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor range. But now we're just fighting. You know, we're just fighting just to fight in that case because he's still a great player.
Definitely. I wanted to get back to you about the Matthew Golden pick, which you did at the 7-12.
Yeah.
I believe you are the first non-Green Bay Packers fan I've ever heard hype up Matthew Golden, where I don't have a lot of confidence in Golden, even as a first-round pick, because of the way Matt LaFleur is running this offense, where they don't appear to have a true number one wide receiver, regardless of the data that you have and who got the most snaps and targets, where it seems to me that Tucker Kraft is probably going to be the most reliable guy for Jordan Love. But you seem to see it differently with Golden. Do you see anything different at training camp that leads to believe that he's going to be finally replacing Devontae Adams as the alpha?
I just, you know what? I think that they've desperately been looking for that alpha guy. They went through Romeo Doubs. They went through Christian Watson. He can't stay on the field. And he was more of a field stretching guy anyway. This guy does it all. Golden does it all. And I think that once Jordan Love and him develop that chemistry, because that is something that they are developing through training camp. Once they develop this chemistry, Evan, I think it's one of those situations that we are going to see Matthew Golden. Yes, I like Kraft. I like that you brought his name up because he's going to be in there as well. He did have something came up the other day in training camp where he fumbled. He had a bad fumble, and I guess LaFleur kind of called him out about it, and then he clapped back. And you want that in a player. You want that player to be fiery about that because you know you want there to be competition. So that's another good thing too. And then you got Jayden Reed. I just don't know what to think about Jayden Reed. He's such a he's a weapon, but they don't, like you said, Matt LaFleur wants to run the ball. That's the main thing. Run the ball, use play action, and go from there. And I think Golden is more of a fit for that than running some gadgetry plays or relying on gadgetry plays in fantasy for Jayden Reed. But if it's exactly a best ball, I would go Jayden Reed because you're gonna have those weeks where he might have 30 points. Like I remember there was last year, he had a couple of weeks in a row where he just went off, and then like you're gonna have a scenario like that. But redraft, I'm gonna go with Golden. I think that he's gonna be the golden boy in Green Bay this year.
I was going to say, I definitely agree on the gadgetry that the Green Bay Packers have been running, being that Jayden Reed, to me, is the Green Bay Packers' equivalent of Deebo Samuel. He can do a little bit of everything that you need him to do on that offense.
Right. No, and that's where he's designed. Oh, look, Jake Ferguson, we talked about him earlier, too.
There it is.
Like, now we're talking. Now, I like what Spider did here. I'm just going to talk about him real quick. I like how he got Tyler Warren, and then he got Jake Ferguson just as that security blanket. I don't know if I would have got him that close. I would have probably just picked one and gone with it. But hey, who knows? Maybe he's doing like a tight end premium league that he's training for. That's the one thing about these mock drafts that is fun. For me, let's see. Who am I gonna get? Let's see. You know what? I'm having reservations of doing this. But I'm going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go with Keon Coleman. We already saw the situation with Khalil Shakir, him being a little banged up with the high ankle sprain now. They've already been talking up Coleman. There was a little bit of a chemistry between him and Josh Allen last year. I think he can build up on that. I think he can become a red zone weapon. And if he does become a red zone weapon, look out, guys, because I think he could be one of those guys who touches 10 touchdowns this year. And I like that. Next player, I think I need to go running back again because I'm really not too sure about Travis Etienne. So what I'm going to do, and I don't like Najee Harris because the whole situation with his eye, but I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go Ramondre Stevenson. I get it. I know a lot of people are probably like, why are you going to do that? That's kind of the same. And Ramondre Stevenson has had the fumbling issues. I get it. I just think that he needed a new regime. I think that he needed a new fresh. You got a guy who just needs a fresh look. And now before the last couple of years, he didn't have much competition behind him with Antonio Gibson. And now you got some competition with Travion Henderson. I think that's going to light a fire under Ramondre Stevenson as well. I think we see a more rejuvenated, more, I would say 2023 Ramondre, who I thought was on his way to becoming a superstar. But I think he's one of those guys that, and look, don't forget, he can catch passes too. So he's going to let them know I can catch. I got sure hands. He can catch passes too. So I like Ramondre there. Him as my number 4. We'll see. Hopefully ATN does something, but we'll see. Look here. I'm looking at what Nathan just did. Did you see that? He got Tucker Kraft and Dalton Kincaid.
Okay.
That's interesting too, because a lot of people now with the Khalil Shakir situation, is that something that's going to linger all season long? Is he going to have to rely on Dalton Kincaid? I like that pick there. That's not a bad pick. A lot of tight ends are going off the board. A lot of good ones. David Njoku, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely dealing with his injury. So you got Colston Loveland. I like Colston Loveland. But again, it's how many mouths are we going to be feeding there? And it's going to take time. So you got 2 things against you with Colston. And he's a rookie. So 3 things, really. And then Evan Ingram. Let's talk about this one real quick, Evan, because you got this pick. I absolutely love it. I think that this is one of those picks, guys. I'm going to give you a little nugget that I found out while I was researching Evan Ingram when he got traded to Denver. The 2 seasons that he played 17 games, he averaged 203 fantasy football points in those 2 seasons where he was healthy. As long as Evan Ingram is healthy, he's going to get you points. That is the only issue with him. Yeah, he's 31 years old. I get it. But if he's healthy, he's going to get you points. Bo Nix is going to look his way. Sean Payton, look at his track record with tight ends. He's going to feed Evan Ingram. It's going to be the Evan Ingram, and it's going to be the Cortland Sutton show with some Marvin Mims taking it off the top, guys. And then I know people are talking about Patrick Bryant as well. I get that. I want to see more. I want to read and hear more on him. They compared him to Michael Thomas. Yeah, that's cool. That's cute. All right, we'll see what happens. But I love the Evan Ingram piece. I think that is a very, very, very good spot for you. I do say this. You might want to get another tight end, though, just in case.
Yeah, and that's coincidentally, you brought up a really good point, because I'm going to take a chance on Jonnu Smith as my tight end, too.
That's beautiful.
Being that we have 2 flex spots on top of a dedicated tight end spot, I like drafting 2 tight ends wherever I can get 2 good quality ones, because we don't really know how Arthur Smith is now going to be utilizing Jonnu alongside Pat Freiermuth, which I can only assume is going to be suffering in his target count, which, I mean, he kind of already was his whole gosh dang time in Pittsburgh. But what do you see out of this Pittsburgh offense with 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers throwing the football and Arthur Smith calling the plays?
I see a lot of running, so I'm curious to see how. I'm really curious to see how Aaron Rodgers does with Arthur Smith, man. Because Arthur Smith is the same guy who benched Bijan, didn't bench him. I don't know what he did with him. I mean, that was a weird situation in of itself. And I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is a former or is a future Hall of Famer, but what I'm here to say is, like, they are going to run the ball a lot. They're going to run the ball a lot. He's got his number 1 wide receiver, who Aaron Rodgers loves to have a number 1 wide receiver, and at DK Metcalf. The tight ends, I think Jonnu Smith has a role in this offense. I think Pat Freiermuth also has a role in this offense because he's going to need those short intermediate routes. Hopefully get the yak yardage from Jonnu Smith. And then I also like Jalen Warren, Jalen Warren, excuse me. Coming out of the backfield too. So I think there's an opportunity for a lot of play action, but I think that they're going to start running the ball and keep running the ball, because that's what Arthur Smith does. It's just, I hear a lot of people talking about Caleb Johnson, and rightfully so. It's just sometimes with Arthur Smith, unless he had Derrick Henry, that was the only time that he really, other than that, he would use some kind of weird committee. I mean, you even saw Cordero Patterson back in Atlanta that one year, what was he doing on the field? You got Bijan Robinson. You got Tyler Algier. What are you doing, bro? So it's always kind of finicky with him. So you got to be careful.
That's why I had to ask you about Jonnu Smith, because even in Atlanta, he was using him for end-around goal line carries when you already have Bijan.
Absolutely. It was weird the way he he does or doesn't do. It's just very strange sometimes when it seems to me like you might be trying to be the smartest person in the room or outsmart the other. Just play simple football, man. Like play simple football. Give the ball to the players that are great on your team.
With your next 2 picks coming up, hopefully these are guys that also believe in playing simple football.
Let's see. Nobody's taken a kicker yet, and I'm not going to do it. So,
my man.
I've been looking at Christian Kirk here, man. I think that Christian Kirk has an opportunity. Again, health is the big thing with him. But I think Christian Kirk has an opportunity to give the Texans a slot receiver. They've been looking for a slot receiver. They had Kiki Kuti, then they had Minchie, the third. Like they've had guys that they want to be their slot guy. I think Christian Kirk could fit in there as a slot. You got 2 really big wide receivers off. You've got Dalton Schultz as a tight end. I think that he could make some hay. Again, with him, it's staying healthy. And then with the Joe Mixon situation, the running game situation in and of itself, yes, I do like Woody Marks, but the running back situation is going to be similar to Dallas, where you just don't know where it's going to come from. They may just start chunking the ball. And for my next pick, I'm going to go with Rashid Shaheed, another guy who's just a burner. He gets opportunities. I'm not really excited about the offense, but they're going to be playing from behind a lot, and they're going to need to score points as best they can. Kellen Moore's there now in New Orleans, so he's going to scheme up something. I think Rashid Shaheed always has an opportunity. He's missing his buddy Derek Carr, who likes to throw them deep bombs to him, but I think that Rashid Shaheed can go to another level. Braylon Allen, the War Machine. That's a hell of a pick, Spider. I think that for him being that. So look, him being a number 3 running back or 4 running back on his team, as a flex option, he can easily leapfrog Javonte Williams. We talked about the running back situation in Dallas. So he could easily leapfrog him and become one of those guys. Guys, anytime they call somebody War Machine, that means he's going to war. Like, they're already talking about the whole thing with Breece Hall and maybe trading him or maybe not trading him, or Breece Hall saying that the offense is not made for him. Braylon Allen said that this offense is tailor-made for him. It's what he ran in his freshman year, and look at what he did in his freshman year at Wisconsin. Like, I think this kid is on the cusp of being one of those players that maybe not right away, but while the season goes, as it gets colder, as those hits get harder, I think Braylon Allen is going to be one of those guys who's be on a lot of teams that win some chips.
I don't see Braylon Allen eating too much into Breece Hall's volume, but I want to remind the people at home, Braylon Allen is only 21 years old entering his 2nd season. He entered the league when he was 20. This is a really young guy who's got nowhere to go but up, and he should be a solid number 2 behind Breece for quite a while. That is assuming the Jets don't move on from Breece, but I still like both backs.
Yeah, I do too. I do, but look where Breece Hall went in the 3rd round, and look where Braylon Allen went. And I think that if you look at a situation where it's a really close committee, I'm not going to say 50-50, but like 55-45, 60-40, and Breece Hall is still getting the majority of that, Braylon Allen is going to be a fantasy contributor. Like, he's going to give you points, man. He's going to get you touchdowns. He's going to get you some yardage. He might get you a few catches as well, but he's going to get you some points in fantasy.
I wanted to come back to you too. Matt Tate asks, are we sleeping on Kittle just a little bit? So
I'm not.
George Kittle went late in the 4th round, taken by I Bet Sometimes as at the 403, which I think is amazing value for George Kittle considering the value that he's got going into this year. What do you think about that, Tip? Is that great value for Kittle?
I love where he has him, and it's almost like he has Nico Collins and T. Higgins, 2 guys who score touchdowns, who get yardage, and then you got a guy in George Kittle who gets yardage and recently has been scoring touchdowns. So I think that that's a perfect 1-2 combo to match it up with Kittle. He can act as a wide receiver 3 in this case, because you got Jerry Jeudy, you got Chris Godwin, he's a little banged up. But I think Kerry Kittle, I think people are doing a disjustice because you got Brock Bowers back, he's got paid. You've got Christian McCaffrey back right now. You've got Trent Williams back. When those three players are back right there, and you include Kittle into that, the good things happen in San Francisco. So I think it's a great pick. And then I saw Lou had mentioned Christian Kirk. He has said it's like he took the Tank Dell role and nobody's talking about it. It's true, and we don't want people talking about it, Lou. We want people to be quiet because this is still going to be a good offense. The Kaylee experience is going to be a good experience for this team. You got the whole situation out last year with I can't remember the offensive coordinator's name. His mind is blanking. I was going to say Skoranek, but anyway, we know
Bobby Slowick.
Slowick, there he goes. So with Slowick, so we know the situation. We know that that Kaylee is going to give some control to CJ Stroud. He's done it with all the other quarterbacks he's had, and he's had some good quarterbacks. Go look at his track record. He's going to give him some freedom in this offense, and that's all that that he wanted. That's what he asked for last year. He wanted more freedom in this offense. All right, tired of talking. I'm going to go ahead and get Jake Bates. Got to go with him. It's indoor kicker, high scoring offense in the last couple of years. May they take a little dip? Well, if they take a little dip, there's still going to be opportunities for them to kick the ball. So I'm going to go with Jack Bates. I go with him all the time. I love him.
I see no reason to go against Jake Bates. He was a fantastic kicker in the UFL before the Detroit Lions signed him last year. I forgot which UFL team he played for, but a lot of these kickers were getting their chances too at the NFL. Not just all these skill position players, but Bates is another UFL standout. The Lions like him a lot. They had to get rid of some joke kickers. I'm forgetting some of the names they had that were not panning out, but Bates, with enough home games where the Lions are going to be playing indoors, give me a high-powered offense that can get those pats and field goals all day.
Yeah, and you know what? I know we just saw Cameron Dicker just go, and ironically, we saw both the Chargers and the Lions play on the Hall of Fame game, and it was like a total night and day between the two teams. The Chargers looked like they were primed right in the middle of the season, the way they were playing, and Detroit looked like they were stuck in mud. It's going to take some time with this offense, with the new coordinators and everything. And I know some of these coordinators, the offensive coordinator did coach in Detroit before with Ben Johnson. But I will say this, it's going to take a little bit of time. There's going to be like some reconstruction. Then you got the offensive line situation. But I think that's going to leave opportunities for Dan Campbell to not be as aggressive and say, let me get some points on the board instead of like just going out there and do it. We saw him still be aggressive in the Hall of Fame game, and he's still going to be that guy, but maybe he'll start to scale that back again and give some opportunities to Jack Bates. Now, on the other end, the kicker, the kicker real quick, that Chargers offense looked good, man. And I can only imagine what it's going to look like with when the starters are out there. So I'm excited. I'm going to keep watching that offense. That offense looks really nice.
I am very, very careful about judging the Chargers right now because we saw the same thing last year with the Chicago Bears, how great they looked in preseason with how everybody was clicking, even with the backups. But then the regular season came, and then we learned that Matt Eberflus still doesn't know how to be a head coach. So it all just went to complete crap. So I don't think that's going to happen with Harbaugh.
Well, and you know what, too, Evan? A lot of times in these preseason, and especially in the Hall of Fame game, you are looking at vanilla as it gets. Like you are like literally just lining up in front of each other, and that's it. It's like you are calling very basic plays. You're not really you're not hiding coverages. You're showing everything. So yeah, a lot of times it can be misconstrued. But hey, we got football. We saw it on the field, and the Chargers look good. Look. They look like they were actually in sync. And Trey. When we get Trey Lance out there throwing darts and throwing dimes, and everybody's talking about the new kid, the KLS kid. I mean, that in and of itself, that does look like an offense that's going to be fun to watch, though.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think too many people are low on Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey out there. They just drafted Trey Harris. I'm excited to see how he fits in as a potential number 2. I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more than people give him credit for.
Yep, I agree. I do. And I took the Commanders as the last pick because I think the year 2 of Dan Quinn, we'll see a lot more in this defense.
So, unfortunately, Tipp, we are starting to run out of time, and I want to close the show with asking you one more question, which is the same that I ask all my guests every week. Out of all of the teams who drafted tonight, whose do you like best out of all 15 rounds here?
I really do like what my guy, I can't see his name, but he's next to Spider with the Devon A. Chain, the Nico Collins, T. Higgins, George Kittle, Henderson. Like, he's really got a nice setup there. And look, Chris Godwin, guys, if Chris Godwin comes back, I know everybody's talking about Ibukwe, and I love Ibukwe. I think that he's going to be a lights out phenomenal player, but it's still Chris Godwin is still there. So I like what he did with his team. The Brock Purdy situation, again, if everybody stays healthy, we're good to go there. Jerome Ford, that's sneaky as well. I like that pick as well. So yeah, I do like, I like what, he said that's me. Appreciate it, fellas. Matt. Yeah, I do like what Matt did there. I do like what he did.
Matt Tate, yeah, I like what you did with your team too. Not so much your running backs, but if you're going to punt at running back a bit beyond Achane, I think you took some good flyers as well.
Yeah, he did.
So we are going to start to wrap things up here. Before we do that, the Fantasy Football Expo is this coming weekend as well. For those of you who are planning on being there in Canton, Ohio, be sure you visit the Optimus crew that's out there between Nate, Jen, Keith, and... I told Nate I wouldn't forget the last name, but there will be four guys out there. Be sure to say hi to the Optimus crew that's out there. Unfortunately, I won't be one of them, but I am aiming for 2026. That being said, let's get into the final few things I want to read off, starting with our Discord server. Now, if you're not in our Discord community yet, what are you even doing with your life? I'm serious. This is where the real action happens 24/7, and it's completely free to join. We've built an incredible community where you can get everything you need to dominate your leagues all year long. We're talking best ball advice, DFS lineups, live NFL draft coverage with real-time updates, deep dynasty discussions where we debate rookie values and trade strategies, as well as some of the sharpest NFL betting insights you'll find anywhere. But here's the thing. It's not just about the content, it's about the community. You've got thousands of fantasy fanatics in there sharing advice, breaking news, celebrating wins, and yes, commiserating over those brutal bad beats. Whether it's 2 p.m. or 2 a.m., someone's always in there ready to talk ball. Check out the link in the show description right now. It takes 30 seconds to join, it's completely free, and I guarantee it'll level up your fantasy game. Come hang with us. Also, Fast Draft Fantasy. Alright, Fantasy fam, let's talk about Fast Draft. They're absolutely revolutionizing the best ball game right now. They just dropped something called the Rabbit, and this is a game changer. We're talking about a true 15-round best ball draft that includes quarterbacks, no kickers, no defenses, just the positions that matter. And here's the kicker, pun mildly intended, you've got a 20-second clock per pick, which means you can knock out an entire draft in about 20 minutes. 20 minutes! Plus, they've got a $50,000 prize pool up for grabs. And because you're a part of the Optimus Fantasy, Fast Draft is hooking you up with a $50 deposit match when you use promo code OPTIMUS. That's OPTIMUS. So head over to fastdraft.app, get that deposit match, and start crushing some rabbit drafts. Trust me, once you try that 20-second clock, you'll be addicted. Tip. It was so good to have you join me tonight, even from the comfort and safety of your own car. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, I had to even makeshift curtain as well, man, so that way you wouldn't get the glare off the sunlight over there. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys having me. Look, I was excited to do the show. I wanted to do it at the studio, but hey, I got caught up at work, and I was like, I can't miss this, Evan. I can't miss this. And so, yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm so happy you guys allowed me to do it. And I had fun doing the draft, man. I've been doing a bunch of drafts here lately, but I had a lot of fun.
Absolutely, I'm glad you can make it as well, even on such short notice. That these things totally happen. I get it. You know, I might have to work late myself coming up pretty soon, so we'll see. Ladies, gentlemen, and all those in between or outside of it, this has been another episode of Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan. Once again, I'd like to thank my guest Tipp Major for joining us this evening. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Sports Affiliation as well as 32-bit, that's number 30 and then the word 2 and bit, on YouTube so you don't miss out on more shows starring Tipp. Also, be sure to visit footballguys.com and oddschecker.com to be on the lookout for more articles from Tipp. Tipp, tell the people what else you have coming up over the next few weeks or months that they should check out.
Yeah, so I'll be at the Fantasy Football Expo. I'll be at the Footballguys booth and at the Sports Affiliation booth. I think we might do a show with the Sports Affiliation. We're going to be coming up with, I came up with this show called Fantasy Nuggets. It's a 15-minute quick hit show right after the 4 o'clock game and right before the Sunday night game. So it's going to be a 15-minute show, give you some quick hits, give you some nuggets on the game, that Sunday night game, and on Monday's night game, so that way we can help you win.
Fantastic. Also, thank you to everyone who joined the mock draft this evening, because it is darn near impossible to do a mock draft show without folks like you mocking with us. Next week, we will be running another 12-team, 1-quarterback redraft PPR mock. So if you missed out on it this week, no worries. There will be an opportunity for you to do this again with us next week. And joining me for that one, he does big work for FTN Fantasy, the Sick Podcast, NFL Fantasy, and the NFL Network. With that combination, I'm going to let you all figure that out on your own, who that might be. If you would like to join us, if you would like to join us for that draft, please join the Optimus Fantasy Discord server so you can get first dibs on a draft spot. You'll find the link in the description of this YouTube video, as well as the description on Spotify as well. This has been Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan here on Optimus Fantasy. Have a great night. I'll see you all next week. Take care.
Peace.